Well, here we are back on the beat, and as we wrap the conversation, we talk about governance issues and how this administration has fared. You would recall that two of the key members of this administration have resigned: Agric Minister Dr. Ifri Akoto, and of course, before him, Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, who actually was the Minister of Trades and Industry for a second stint, first under the Kufuor regime, now under the Akufo-Addo regime. But what does all of this mean? Is a reshuffle imminent? Well, joining us for this discussion, government's spokesperson on governance and security, Paul Grave Boakye-Dankwa, joins us for a conversation. Thank you for joining, as always.
It's good to be here, and a happy new year to you, Benjamin, and to beautiful viewers around the world.
Happy New Year to you too. First time this year, right?
First time this year. Actually, second time.
Yes, I was just about to say, because I think you joined via Zoom or something, but physically, first time. I know you've been out and about, so you've been... Yeah, I would guess you there. Speaking governance, though, let's get straight to the pertinent issues. Speaking governance and the reshuffles the resignations that we've seen so far, two crucial aspects of our national life: agric, trades and industry. What has that meant to government? Yes, we've had the replacements, Mavis Hawakumson and Abu Jinapo, as acting ministers. What has this had by way of impact on our governance?
So, Benjamin, a very good morning to you and to your viewers, and really to be able to state that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo is very confident in his mind to deliver the promises that he has laid out to the Ghanaian people, and also to congratulate and commend these two ministers that have been extremely outstanding in the first term and the second term: the Honorable Minister for Trade, now former Minister for Trade, the Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, and Ifri Akoto, for their desire to seek the highest office of flag bearership for our great new patriotic party come the time, and further on to stand as presidential candidate in the ensuing 2024 general election. We are in no mind in our mind as a government that this is the good time for them to pursue their ambitions. And also, we are in no doubt in our mind that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo will find very suitable replacements for both of them in their service to the Ghanaian people. I have seen that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo has been extremely confident with the ministers and appointees that he has worked with, and has seen their deliverables. Right. And I see that the consistency with keeping ministers at one place really brings fruits and results.
So you're speaking,
as opposed
you're speaking
regular,
pretty much against the tide of what people have said. That
I speak
there
for
should
the
be reshuffles. Look, from Kufuor, even from Rawlings to Kufuor to Mills to Mahama, the reshuffles were
different governance styles.
Civil society organizations have pointed to it. Academics have pointed to it. Governance experts have pointed to it.
There are different governance styles.
And now you're here saying
there are different governance styles around the world, and various models. But you would see that when you keep an individual at one place, you're able to get the fruits and the results in terms of the implementation of your vision.
In our instance,
no doubt. I'm very much certain. No doubt in my mind that at the very right time, the President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo would do his reshuffle as people are expecting. No doubt that at the very right time, the President would do that. But at this stage, as we speak, you are aware that government has bigger issues to deal with. Government is looking into infrastructural ways. Government is looking into debt restructuring. Government is looking into IMF agreeing on our bond that we have decided to go for, close to about $3 billion US dollars that we are requesting from the IMF. In this time, government is looking into ensuring that the Ghanaian people are cushioned up with the highest level of struggles that are around the world. In this time, government is looking to having our gold for oil, which has come in now. Government is not blinded to all the issues as well at all. But we are confident in our appointees, and I'm certain that President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, in his wisdom and leadership at the right time, will do what the Ghanaian people would expect.
Is a reshuffle imminent? How soon should we expect a reshuffle? We've seen so many, I'm sure you've seen them as well, floating around, surfacing, talking about replacements here and there, that the education minister, interestingly, is going to be let go of, that Some other ministries are going, in fact, the caretaker ministries are going to get new appointments like Tahira Hammond, Katie Hammond, and others in there. In fact, your name has been mentioned that you are soon going to be a deputy Minister of Information also. So is a reshuffle imminent? And if you were thrust into any such capacity, would you accept it?
Well, continuous service is good for people.
Agree. If you were thrust into any such capacity, if you were called to service, to serve as a deputy minister or a minister, would you take it?
It's always an opportunity to serve the leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I will not turn down such an offer at all.
Have you been approached?
Well, Benjamin,
have you been approached? I mean, this is sometimes we make it appear. Have you been approached?
Benjamin, these names that have come out are predictions that the media usually would do.
Media, some of them are sourcing, people within the corridors of power, whispering into their ears and telling them what to do.
I just know that the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo would be the final decider on a number of these names that have come.
Yes, he will decide, but he would prompt those he's planning on. He wouldn't make it. You wouldn't be there as Palgrave, and all of a sudden your name is on a list of that. So have you been approached? Has there been any?
I don't think the issue really is about Palgrave Bwachidankwa. I think the issue is really about the people that the president would want to use as his final lap in his leadership and governance. Really, the last 2 years is very significant for the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to really cement his legacy. And I believe that whatever team that he decides to work with have a lot of honest responsibility to ensure that the Ghanaian people remember President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for who he is, for what he stood for what he came to do in this country, and posterity will judge him very rightly for a number of decisions that he has made. And so
I guess posterity will be in the position to do his judgment, not those of us here, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. But which is why I said the final lap of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is critical. Right. And this is just like playing a football match. And if you have just about 20 minutes to go and you need to win a match, you need to bring in good players. And I'm certain that the president in his mind will bring in some very good players to make sure that the breaking the AIDS becomes a feasibility.
How soon can we expect this reshuffle?
It's difficult for me to say, to be honest, in my position.
The calls have been there since even the first term, second term, and all of that. So I mean, people are saying that, especially on the back of the resignations of the big two, Alan Kwadwo-Kyerematen and Dr. Efri Akoto, that it's in the offing. You walk the corridors of power. You are the spokesperson for governance and security.
It is very difficult for me to tell you how soon it's going to happen. But the Ghanaian people were aware that internally the various political parties are preparing to major elections. And so the NDC has had their national elections, has selected their national executives. The NPP took a way leap and ahead to select our own national executives. And we've always been ahead. And in that same manner of going ahead, we are very certain that the Ghanaian people will reward us with our hard work, and we would go ahead of the NDC in the 2024 general election. And so at the party side, people need to prepare. And we have been very aware, the Ghanaian people have been aware that people that are interested in standing for various positions, particularly flag bearership, would have to resign. And the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, even stated that if you are interested in...
Some say they resigned even too late.
Well, I mean, that's in the remit of the people. I mean, I'm not in the minds of the people to make those decisions. But really, all well and good that they have stepped aside to give President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo a lot more clarity on what to do with his team of ministers and appointees to serve in his final term. But I've stated, and I need to put it on record, that the final team that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo sets up are the people that are going to help really cement his legacy in the footprints of the Ghanaian history. And I'm confident that the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in no light, will make some very good decisions on who he wants to serve in his team.
Staying with that reshuffle, the president has had his own promises that he's made in respect of Ken Ofori-Atta to his majority caucus in Parliament. I spoke yesterday to your former General Secretary, Nana Hininto, and he said, as far as he was concerned, Ken Ofori-Atta had no business still being at post. In his opinion, he shouldn't even be there. So what can we expect by way of what is coming? The reshuffle, we do not know when it will come. and you've not been very forthcoming with information on that, though I suspect you know a lot more. But will some names have to go? Will some big players fall? Will the likes of Ken Ofori-Atta maybe? I mean, what can we expect? At least any hints?
You know, Benjamin, the real essence of reshuffle is that some people will lose their jobs. That's the fact.
I mean, a reshuffle could also mean that people are simply moved around.
Well, I mean, you have two people that have already resigned to seek their personal interests as flag bearership. So the real essence of reshuffle is that yes, some people will be moved around and some people will lose their jobs. It's in the remit of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to decide who he wants to serve in his final term and final 2 years. I am in no doubt in my mind that the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta has served this country very well and will continue to serve this country very well. I mean, no doubt in my mind that he's been able to fulfill the mandate that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave to him, especially when he was sworn in. The issues that came against him, that a sizable part of the majority and even the minority asked for his dismissal, has all been resolved. The city has been stabilized.
Has it?
Well, I mean, I
mean, the issue is
in the contest.
We have a debt exchange program that is in limbo.
In the context
the
of
IMF
the time.
program is at risk.
In the contest of the time.
And let me just give you the latest, because I've been following. Look at where the dollar to CD is today, 10.34. You see the appreciation in the space of the euro is over 11 cedis now. The pound is over 12 cedis.
I do see the appreciation. At the time when they called for the head of the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta, you saw significant impact in the Ghanaian economy and how well, I mean, I don't want to say in record time, but how swiftly government in less than 5 months was able to reach a staff level agreement. I mean, the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta has done extremely well as finance minister.
Is that supposed to be an achievement, though?
Well, there were global challenges. Close to about 100 countries sought for an IMF conversation. Ghana was part of that. You followed all those conversations that happened in Washington and the negotiations that went on. Some countries couldn't survive the various impacts that came against them. But you could see very clearly how our Ghanaian country and how the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta really acquainted himself very well to the much admiration of the Ghanaian people, and the excessive propaganda and mischievous and malicious pacts from the minority did not hold water. And I think that there's not much that they can use to paint the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta bad. I'm confident that the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta is one of Ghana's best finance ministers, and I'm confident that he would be able to stabilize the various challenges that we have within the Ghanaian economy. You talk about debt restructuring, you could talk about individual bondholders. Our government is a continually listening government, and we would ensure that we listen to the forum that has come to make sure that we agree at a very comfortable place to see that the Ghanaian economy is revived and stabilized. I've looked at various countries that have gone through debt exchange program and how they have been able to sustain their countries, from Mozambique to Greece to Madagascar, number of countries.
None of them, I doubt any of them have had to go down the road we are going in terms of our domestic debt exchange. It is severe, it's excruciating. We've never gone down this road before.
Primarily because of where we find ourselves globally.
Where we put ourselves globally.
Well, you know, there are a lot of exogenous factors as well as internal issues as well. But exogenous factors really would impact a lot more of your internal challenges. And I'm in no doubt. I mean, government has been very forthright with the Ghanaian people. Government has opened up their books to the Ghanaian people to let them know and appreciate. And I've not seen any government that would desire to ensure that our debt to GDP becomes sustainable and we are able to meet up to our debt. We are having bigger negotiations with the Paris Club and a number of clubs to forgive us our debts so that we can be able to move ahead. And how
optimistic are we?
Very, very optimistic.
I mean, just this morning I was interacting with Joe Jackson, among others, Dr. Theo Champong, on exactly that. So moves have been made to the Paris Club.
Very, 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 very optimistic. And I'm certain.
Are we expecting debt forgiveness?
Well, that's the conversation on the table. That's the conversation on the table.
Where in terms of our negotiations with them,
I mean,
is it looking promising?
It is looking very promising, and I'm in no doubt in my mind that a listening government like ours, President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, would make sure that we listen to the Ghanaian people, even in the midst of the challenges that we have. Our government has lifted up salaries close to about 30%. I was part of the government negotiation team as of last week.
Do you want us to talk about inflation?
Well, no.
And the other factors?
We've increased SNAIDs by 25%. I mean, I commend Dr. John Tinkran for his sterling leadership at SNAID, and how, as I speak to you today, the highest pensioner will be receiving close to about 169,000.
Yeah, I saw all of that, but you cannot also overlook. I mean, it's a feather in their cap, but if you look at the years of complaints about the Poultry Songs, you're forgetting to mention those at the bottom who are earning a little over 400 cedis. So I mean, there are dynamics.
Benjamin,
even as we look at both sides, we can always talk about...
It's really the interest of making sure that the Ghanaian people become more resilient and more resolved to invest into their future.
Right.
Really.
So point made there. Basically, so the movement of Alan Chamanting and Dr. Ifeyi Akoto have not impacted governance.
Oh, not in the manner in which we have been preparing for this, and which is why the president swiftly put in caretaker ministers. And we've seen consistently how there has been caretaker ministers, even in the absence of...
I mean, so nothing disastrous?
Not at all. Okay. It's just been yesterday, the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Abu Janapo, went in to pick up handing over notes.
Alan Chamanting posted on that. Just two quick issues I want us to wrap with in less than 2 minutes. I'm curious, there was an initial, when it comes to the trades ministry, trade and industry, there was an initial communication from the Jubilee House that Ken Ofori-Atta was going to take over. And then all of a sudden there was a second letter that spoke about Samuel Abu Janapo, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. What happened?
Well, I think that the curiosity is good, but you spoke about governance. And really, trade is part of finance, to be honest. And so at the time when the Minister for Trade resigned, immediately the president needed to make sure that the finance minister really holds affairs before he puts in a caretaker minister, and then finally he would put in a substantive minister. So that was a strategy of government to make sure that the finance minister takes care of the trade ministry in the absence of the minister. Because you remember that when he brought the letter, he stated that he was going to leave on the 16th of January. Right. So within
I get the point you're making. Sorry, because of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get the point you're making. But why say that, yes, knowing all of these permutations, it's going to be Ken Ofori-Atta, and all of a sudden, it's your assumption that all of a sudden. I need to explain to you. You see,
if you come through with an earlier communication that is going to be this person, then another name. It's a caretaker minister, and caretaker ministers can be changed anytime. I'm explaining.
No, we're not saying they can't.
But
we just want to know.
I'm trying to give the reasoning. Right. So the reason is that the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning absorbs a number of ministries. You are aware that they are the paying ministry. Right. And so it is right for the president to ask the Minister for Finance to go in as caretaker minister. Within that period, I mean, there are a lot of paperwork, finance issues that needed to cross out before the president, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, picks in another caretaker minister who would be responsible after the Honorable Kojo Alan Chamanting goes off, which is the 16th. And so that period was a number of financial conversations. And then Abu Janapo, the Honorable Minister, takes in as caretaker minister from the 16th until the president substantively decides who becomes the finance minister. If you're in government, I might be proposing you as the Minister for Trade, but you're not.
Okay. So just the final point on the cathedral. I'm sure you followed what has happened, the Reverend Kusi Boateng issue, the multiple personalities, and the bit about 2.6 million Ghana cedis. What do you make of it in some 30 seconds? We have to go.
In 30 seconds, I want to state that there are some attempts from the caucus of the Honorable Samuel Okudzato Ablakwa,
the Member of Parliament
North Tongue, a very good friend of mine. In fact, some malicious attempts, and let's put it in context.
Malicious attempts,
very, very malicious attempts. You know, JNS, it's a private company. They give financial assistance to the cathedral. There are letters to prove that. They transferred 2.6 million Ghana cedis from their ADB account to the National Cathedral account at the time when government had not released a number of their funding that they needed. Through the benevolence of Reverend Kusi Boateng, who sought the...
Alias Kwabna Edu Jemfi.
Well, I am called Poultry Songs, and my name is Nana Kwame Frimpong. And my name is Nana Kwame Frimpong.
You have business dealings in different names.
We can look at those issues, but let's pick it one after the other. So let's look at the money. Okay, the JNS gave financial assistance to the National Cathedral. There's been records to that. I have records of their bank transactions from ADB Bank, JNS account into the National Cathedral account. And so when government gave their resources to them, National Cathedral had to refund the money that was given because it was a financial assistance in that regard. The Supreme Court, there's a ruling on Supreme Court. If you don't mind, I can reference that. The Supreme Court...
You may not have the time.
You may not have the time to go through it. But the Supreme Court really has given a ruling on a name. I mean, and I can reference the case Kofi Sapon versus Franklin Jantua. You can read that suit number J4/15/2015. It says that the trial court also considered that it is not illegal for any person to acquire property in his native name. The Court of Appeal considered this and concluded it is not violent, it does not violate
basically what
any
you're saying
law,
is,
and it is not criminal.
This is a
common
native
knowledge.
name against some other name.
Yes, I mean, I don't know, Benjamin Akakpo, do you have a native name?
My
native name is Nana Kwame Frimpong, and I'm known as Poultry Frimpong Boachedankwa in public circles. So we need to put that in succinct, very clearly, that to disassociate the very revered man of God from a number of these issues.
We're grateful. We've heard from the National Cathedral Secretariat as well. We'll see how that issue pans out. But we're grateful that you took the time to join us once more. Thank you for always heeding our call and joining us.
Anytime, for the good people of this country.
Right. Poultry Boachedankwa, also known as...
Don't be naughty.
Oh, no. You mentioned that.
No, my home name. My friends call me Nana Kwame.
Okay. Poultry Boachedankwa, also known as Nana Kwame, helping us wrap the show this morning. Up next, Joy News Desk. Do stay with us.